There are so many good books. One of the best that I've read in the past year is The Book of Joy by Douglas Abrams, a conversation between the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu. There's some great positivity highlights from that book that I'll share with you today. One of the things I've enjoyed the most about my practice is podcasting. I've had an opportunity to interview some really amazing people. Two of the people that I haven't yet interviewed, but I honor and respect so much, are the Dalai Lama and Archbishop Desmond Tutu, both of whom have written things that have inspired me and helped to guide my practice. And they are arguably two of the most prominent spiritual leaders on the planet. They got together for a little retreat that was moderated and recorded by Douglas Abrams. This is what became the Book of Joy, probably one of the most inspiring books that I've read in the past year, and I wanted to share a few highlights with you. In this book, the conversation that is recorded between these two great men is filled with examples of positivity, and it excites me when I hear people like this referring to principles that I've discovered in my own journey as a clinical psychologist and an author that writes about positivity all the time. Here's what they shared as the 8 pillars of joy. The first pillar is perspective. I refer to this as paradigm in my book. It's really your view of things, and everyone has a little different angle on different things. Perspective allows us to see even the most troubling circumstances in our world as being something that is positive and good for us. The second pillar of joy discussed by these two great leaders was humility. I believe that one of the most destructive forces on the planet that is probably common to most human beings is destructive pride. And here are two very prominent leaders who are talking about the importance of humility. That's also an important part of positivity. In fact, I don't make a lot of distinctions between positivity and joy. I think they can be used almost interchangeably. And that's why I was so excited to hear that humility is the second pillar. The third pillar is humor, which is fun. When you think of spiritual leaders like the Dalai Lama, Archbishop Desmond Tutu, you don't necessarily equate that to a comedy club. These guys had some fun when they got together. They were teasing each other, they were laughing, they were joking, they were having a good time. And it reminded me that it's important in positivity to maintain a good sense of humor and to roll with whatever the world hands you. Some people are funny, but they don't have a good sense of humor. I was talking to Jeannie Robertson not too long ago about this. She is one of the funniest people on the planet, in my opinion. You can look her up right here on YouTube. Jeannie Robertson, 6'2", thick Southern accent, just one of the funniest G-rated family-friendly comedians on the planet. And she made this comment. She said, some people are funny, but they don't have a sense of humor. And when the smallest little thing goes wrong, it tips them over and they become angry and start cursing the world. Sense of humor is a really important part of joy and clearly one of the components of positivity. Pillar number 4 is acceptance. Vicki and I years ago read a book called The Knight in Rusty Armor. It's a quick little read and very profound in so many ways. And I remember one of the quotes from this book was, the more we learn to accept rather than expect, the less disappointment we feel in our life. I can't accept this. Have you ever said that to yourself? Well, what are your options? Either you accept it or you don't. It doesn't change the fact that certain things exist in your reality. Acceptance puts you in a place where you can actually do something productive with that. The 5th pillar is forgiveness. Archbishop Tutu is a man that I have respected for years as an authority in the area of forgiveness. He wrote a book about that where he gave some very practical steps for how we let go of some of the things that might cause grievances in our heart. I think grievances rob our joy. They steal our joy from us. And if we can practice forgiveness, it's letting go of the grievance. And it's interesting to me that forgiveness is not saying that what happened was okay. In fact, both of these men have experienced trials and adversity in their life that might arguably put them in a position to hold a grievance. But both of them also acknowledge the importance of releasing those grievances from our own heart and mind so that we can move forward with some level of peace and joy. It's one of the pillars of joy. Pillar number 6 is gratitude. You've heard me talk about this before, and really it's a starting place for positivity, which contributes to our joy. Seeing what we have and being grateful for it is a powerful way to create what I call psychological fuel, or even currency, that we take forward to fuel up, to power up, and to fund what's next. And what's next is always some level of creation. What are we going to go make with the things that life has handed us? Be grateful for what you have, and your joy will increase. That is the 6th pillar of joy. Pillar number 7 is compassion. That's an interesting word. One of my colleagues pointed out to me years ago, he said, passion has to do with some root words that denote suffering. Really? I didn't realize that before. It's being willing to suffer for something. It's such a commitment to a principle or a concept or a cause that you're willing to suffer for it. One of my good friends just announced that he's running for Congress. And one of my thoughts was, well, you're asking for some pain, for some suffering. And it's true. But he is so committed to the cause that he's willing to suffer for it. And I think that's an important characteristic in our public figures, in our elected leaders and officials. But what does that have to do with our own joy? When you live with that level of commitment to something, it lights you up. And it creates opportunities for you to serve and to increase not only your own joy, but the joy of other people around you as well. The 8th pillar of joy from this great meeting of the minds is generosity. I love that. When your life is so full and you feel so much gratitude for the rich and abundant life that you have, you naturally feel compelled to share that. Philanthropy, generosity, having a heart full of love that you are willing to share with other people. Many of the examples that were shared in the Book of Joy had to do with this particular pillar, having the willingness to give. And not for the purpose of receiving anything in return. It's a very selfless, very generous act and gift that we give to other people. That contributes to joy. I was so excited to read this book and to see a validation, really, that I'm on track with what I've been sharing with you here on the channel. My own experience tells me that these things are true. These 8 pillars of joy are powerful ways for you to create a more joyful life. I really enjoyed the Book of Joy, and I would recommend that book to you. I don't do a lot of book recommendations here on the channel, but that's one that has really had an impact on me in the last several months. I hope you enjoy it. The Book of Joy parallels a lot of the things that I've written in my book. I would love to share this one with you as well. Pathological Positivity is something that I would love to put into your hands. You pay the shipping, I'll pay for the book. Sound like a good deal? drpauljenkins.com. Big orange button, click on it, fill out your information, I'll ship this out to you.
Her head was down, face locked onto the phone.